Welcome to this week's episode of Legit or Bullshit.
Tesla.
I think I was reading that Tesla, the car company, makes more money from selling credits to people that don't sell electric cars than they do from selling electric cars. And I personally find the Tesla a little bit tinny, but concept totally legit. Wonderful movement. Is it worth 10 times more than it was this time last year? Not sure. Still going to go with legit though.
Joe Biden.
Hasn't the world gone quiet since we've had a new president? Well, I say we, American president. I'm British, not really my president, but it's amazing how much an American president affects us all, right? I'm going to say I don't know enough about him, but it seems fairly legit.
Grant Cardone.
I was on Clubhouse with him recently, and he's pretty genuine, actually. His persona, his image is pretty blingy, which isn't personally my style, but I don't want to judge him for that. I know he talks about money quite a lot, but that motivates a lot of people, I guess. I feel like I want to lean on the side of legit. I hope he's legit. He seems legit. He didn't like the Wolf of Wall Street and the fact that Wolf of Wall Street basically ripped everybody off and then never paid them back, but now talks about the virtues of how he sells. So he doesn't like that, and I concur. So part of me wants to say we are aligned, perhaps moral code-wise. So I'm going to say legit.
UK politics.
Bullshit. Total bullshit. I find the whole political landscape just awful. When I first moved back to England a couple of years ago, I thought I would get into politics and maybe even become a politician, only to actually speak to people that advise very successful, I guess, MPs and previous London mayors. And the feedback I got was, you basically have to lie to get elected. If you want to get 51% of the public to vote for you, you have to say things you don't believe so that they will believe you believe them, so that they will vote for you. Didn't sit well with me, so I'm going to say bullshit.
The YouTubers versus TikTokers boxing event.
So I only recently heard about this, and I guess it's just all marketing. TikTok boxers versus YouTube boxers. Well, isn't boxers for both those categories a little bit of a stretch? And so it's just a game. I guess as a game, why not? Fairly legit. But part of me wishes that those two communities would promote more positive things like, YouTubers versus TikTok starting a business, or TikTok versus YouTubers doing some good in the world and helping people. Wouldn't that be a more positive image to promote than like, let's bash the shit out of each other? So for that reason, I'm going to say bullshit.
Bitclout.
I'm now an investor in Bitclout, so I have a slight agenda there. So I want to say legit because I've gone quite heavy into believing that it is legit, and I want to believe that it's legit. But until they let people take their money out, I've only put money in like everybody else right now. You can't get money out. I'm seeing that as early adopter risk, and I'm willing to take that risk. But until they fix that problem, I'm going to call bullshit.
Buying fine art.
I've never been into it. I never really understood the whole art thing. One of my neighbors is into art dealing, so I don't want to fall out with one of my neighbors by calling it bullshit. I think like anything in life, if you enjoy it, if you enjoy art and you enjoy buying and selling it, then legit. As a business model, I often find it's kind of bullshit. I've seen people try to sell me paintings that just look awful and tell me how much it's going to go up in value, and that I call bullshit on.
Phone calls.
I miss a good phone call. I feel like I'd rather do a phone call than a Zoom. And I often have this concept in my mind, what if the first thing that came along were phones that could only text? That's all you could do. You could only text. And then one day those phones evolved and suddenly we could ring people. How cool would it be? Like, I don't need to type anymore. I don't need to do this long messages trying to get my point across that miss tone and miss personality. I can just ring people and tell them how I feel. How awesome is it? So because it was the other way around, phone calls came first and text came second, I feel like everyone sees the phone call as bullshit. I'm going to say phone calls are totally legit. I miss them. Feel free to call me.
Snapchat.
I've never really liked Snapchat personally. I guess it's, to me, a little bit of a feature more than it is an actual product these days. It was definitely a gimmick at one point because the messages deleted themselves, so that was somehow cool. Maybe send rude messages, and I never found the need to do that, so I never really got into Snapchat. I guess for a lot of people that got caught up in the big rush that were 18 to 25, they probably would call it legit. But personally, I feel like it's fallen out of favor. I'm on every single social media platform there is, but not that one. I don't see it as necessary. So for that reason, I'm going to call it bullshit.
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance is total bullshit. And I know that's very different. I do think having time for things that matter to you week on week. So maybe one week you feel like, hey, I've worked too much. I need to have some time for myself, or I haven't worked enough. I need to put some energy into work, or I haven't spent enough time with my family. I need to do that. I think each week is different, but there's no such thing as balance. I think it's just adjustment. So life is like living on a wobbly stool, as one of my podcast guests once said. And I absolutely agree with that statement. You can't really say work and life are separate in my view. I've never personally worked that way. And for that reason, I'm going to call anyone that says, here is how you get work-life balance, total bullshit, because there's no such thing.
The boring company.
The boring company. I guess anything Elon Musk to me is just worth looking at. And anyone that sells flamethrowers is got to be worth looking at. And so I guess ultimately the name is the exact opposite to what it is. But I do find that with most things with Elon Musk, initially they sound like bullshit, only to become legit over time. So I'm going to say legit. Traveling. Gosh, I miss traveling. And thank God we can start to do that soon. And I think traveling is totally legit. I would only say that it depends on your priorities in life. If you want to start a business or you want to build a legacy, traveling somewhere as a holiday is not the most important thing to do. I do think though, from a life experience perspective, that I'd rather people went and traveled than got themselves into debt when they're young, getting a mortgage. Go have experience, see the world. So it depends on stages in life, but of course, travel generally totally legit.
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice, is that even on still? It's not even on anymore, is it?
I think the UK one occasionally.
I guess for me, I don't really like The Apprentice, or for that matter, Dragon's Den model. I like the entertainment. I love to hear people's businesses. I love to see people pitching their ideas. But behind the scenes, I know a lot. So, often these things are just staged. So as concepts to encourage and make people aware of ingenuity and entrepreneurship, I like it. I think The Apprentice I don't like because it's really about getting a job. Whereas something like Dragon's Den, at least it's your own business. And I prefer that. And so I think that most people are going on these things for coverage for themselves or their businesses, and for that reason I'm going to call them not real and therefore bullshit.
New York
is totally legit. I went there last in December. My face almost froze off. The vibe, it's like going into the movies. Every time I ever go to America, I feel like I'm entering the movies. Police walking around with guns, which I know is not necessarily at all good, but having said that, it makes you feel like you're in a movie. And New York is just one of those cities that, in my view, you've got to go to. I wanted to live there. I haven't yet done that. I will do it in my future. Definitely one of those places that has a good cultural mix. I would say it's a little bit, potentially could lose its edge just because sometimes America can get a bit isolated. But I would say overall, New York is totally legit.
Podcasting.
Podcasts. What a load of bullshit. I tell you, anyone that does a podcast and tells you that this is the most important thing for you to do right now is talking absolute crap. And wait, hold on a minute. I've got a podcast.
You've got two.
I've got two podcasts, yeah. Okay, in that case, they're totally legit. But all joking aside, I think podcasts for me, I guess it depends on your agenda. I mean, it works in what I'm doing because I want to hear people's stories about entrepreneurship so that people can learn from those people. And so it works in that context. But if it's just for general ego, or some people have even told me they do it to build a network, which is just ridiculous. That's not the reason to do a podcast. So they can be legit. And I would only say that there are a lot of them now. People always say it's never too late to start a podcast. And I know what people that say that mean. But equally, because there's no better time than now to start a podcast, that doesn't mean you should. And so I always say to people, if you like writing, write blogs. That's good on SEO and can sometimes be better. If you like to write funny posts, then do that. Not everyone needs to do a podcast, and only do it if you can see that you're going to have fun doing it. That's my vote. So I'm going to say legit with a caveat that sometimes it's bullshit. I hope you liked today's legit or bullshit. If you did, then give us a like. If you would like to have questions answered by me on are they legit or bullshit things in this world, then feel free to comment below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you hit subscribe, hit the alarm bell so you can be a part of our live events, which we pretty much do every day.